I want to talk about my own series for a second because I didn't think much of it at first. I thought maybe there was like the one thing, but there's actually quite a few things. So in my series, my original series, my manga series, my web series, my whatever you want to call it. Why can't I give me a second? Oh yeah. My one series, Kage no Koku. My main character, Cry, and the antagonist, Yoi, are they sort of play with the oh he's light, oh he's dark aspect, sort of like the two halves make a whole type of thing, but like they're whole without each other, but they do like in a sense like sort of complete each other without it like completing each other, you know? Because I kind of think it's unhealthy if you feel incomplete without your other person because you are complete. You just have to like you just have to find, understand, and love yourself. But that's a whole other topic. But anyway, but I think I've always been intrigued by this concept and by this idea because there's a few anime that I've watched slash read slash heard about and then got into later or played. I can't think of if they're games or not. I just know for sure manga and anime. That play with this black side, white side, blue side, red side, the other half to the other half. And I think that's always been very integrated into these characters in particular, because this series in particular, I feel like, I mean, everything I make has like a piece of me, but I think this one has like specific pieces of me that like play into that. So originally, the idea was I was gonna talk about the concept was from like Soul Eater and how like the partner thing worked, but that's one, not the case anymore, and two, that doesn't really play into the two halves thing. But so I guess for a proper what's the word? The proper concept and idea of what Kage no Koku is now, I would say was very, very heavily inspired by D.N.Angel. And D.N.Angel is a weird series for me. I spent like 80 something dollars for like the two special like edition books that I can't even read because they're in Japanese. Because one, the art was just gorgeous, and two, because I wanted to celebrate that it had like finished as a series. It was a couple years ago, but I didn't know about it. But because the characters Dark and Crad were very much like they made a very big impact on my perspective of like characters that are supposed to be like the other half to another character, if you know what I mean, like the yin and yang, and also just the way the partner thing worked too. But so anyway, yeah. So Dark and Crab very much like they always like super intrigued me. It was just something I like even if I wasn't like a huge fan of the series itself, those two characters just like made an impact. I thought about them a lot, and I just loved watching their interactions, and I was always saddened by the lack of interactions we got of them because I don't know, it felt like the creator didn't like Crash, in my personal opinion. And I didn't read the whole series because the problem for me was that even though there were some concepts that were really interesting and like the whole partner thing with like Daisuke and Dark and like all that, the thing that was an issue for me was like the every day we're dealing with a different piece of artwork, which had a different character and usually a different friendship or love story going on. And it's just like, I don't care. I'm never going to see you again. And it was just like, it just felt like filler until I got something more interesting. And I really couldn't get into it. Like, I want to say I love D.N.Angel because it has a place in my heart, but I didn't actually like go through the whole series. So I'm a false supporter. I mean, I can't say false, but it's it has a place in my heart. But another example of like the white and black, red and blue, probably also like maybe even before D.N.Angel, because I can't even remember like what I discovered first, but there was Blood Plus. Blood Plus was huge for me because I was very much into vampires at the time, and they've always still been a part of my life, and even right now with Goodbye Lily. But like it was about vampires. You've had Saya, who is like this pretty girl, but she was a badass, and she went through like character growth. And she had like Haji, who was like her chevalier, and he loved her, and he would play the cello for her. And then you had Diva, who was the other. I don't remember if they were actually sisters or like what the connection was to the two of them, but basically they were like, at least for me growing up, they were like the female version of like Dante and Virgil because they were the red protagonist and the blue antagonist, and they were twins, and one kind of played the villain role. Um, and which brings me to my other this other like half to the character, Dante and Virgil. Like one was red, one was blue. One was more of the hero, one was more of the villain at the time. Virgil's not a villain anymore, and even when he was, we love Virgil. We still love Virgil. And now we love that Virgil is finally on the team, and hopefully he can try to be a good dad to Nero, even though it's a little bit late, but he can still try to reconnect. Which, God, I hope Nero gets to be a dad. I want him to have a daughter so bad with Kitty. But yeah, so like red and blue, he had a lighter sword, he had a heavy sword, his hair was down, his hair was pulled back. Like just another one of those like twins, one half of the other type of situation. And then probably I would say the gay version, the gay version of Dante and Virgil was Ragna and Jin from Blaze Blue because Heavy Sword guy was the red guy who also had white hair. He wasn't born with it, but regardless, then you had the other guy who had a literal katana and he was blue. The gay part is because uh, if you play Blaze Blue, you know, you know, you know Jin. And if I remember correctly, despite Ragnar never showing interest, like romantic interest in any of the characters, be it man, woman, whatever, there was like one moment in one of the gag endings, and I want to say there was like for a moment an interest that Ragnar had of potentially being with Jin, and I was like, huh. And I feel like I couldn't have been seeing things because I remember being so baffled. I was just so like disheveled. But maybe I'm remembering wrong. I really don't know. I really don't know. I just remember that was like an ending, and I remember just like being completely blown away. And also, one of the artists for Blaze Blue has done a couple like what would you call it, doujinshi, basically like the gay yaoi like manga of Ragnar and Jin being together. So somebody else was shipping them. Somebody on the Blaze Blue team was like, "Yo, I'm gonna put these two together." But then there was also, and I don't even know if anybody else knows about this series anymore. And I don't remember what the Japanese name was called. I remember it was just like it was something. I mean, just the English name alone is ridiculous. The Legend of the Legendary Heroes. You had Reiner and Shion, and they weren't exactly the whole like one half of the other, but kind of. Where technically Reiner was supposed to be quote unquote the demon, the imp, the devil, but he was a really nice guy. He was lazy. He didn't want to use his powers because he always ends up murdering a bunch of people. At least when it goes out of control, he has better control over it later on. And then you have Shion, who's the really nice guy who wants to do the best for everybody. He wants to be a good king, a fair and honest king. But he kind of starts falling astray, and he kind of starts following the path that Jin does a little bit, where even though you're trying to murder the person you desperately love and cherish and care about, it comes from a place of, I know what's going to happen to you and I want to protect you. So I'm going to kill you to protect you because killing you is the only way to stop you from enduring that fate. Um, but that's the wrong way to go about it because there's another way to go about it, but they haven't discovered the other way to go about it yet. So that was another one of those like he was the dark one, but he actually had a like more humanity, and then the lighter one lost his humanity. So there was like that yin and yang again with like kind of like Dark and Crab, where like even though Dark was the thief and he was the quote unquote bad guy, he had a lot more of a heart and a lot more of humanity in him, especially after like becoming good friends with Daisuke. But then you had Crad, who was, even though he was the light half, um, he kind of goes bonkers. He just starts losing his mind. Unfortunately, the poor boy. And so, like, there's just always been like this interest of like the yin and yang characters that have just always like impacted my life. So when I had Cry and Noi, who were basically one was dark with not a heart of gold. Cry does not have a heart of gold. He's a good person. He just doesn't know how to express his kindness, so he just defaults to being angry and rude. And then you have Yoi, he's a light, but kind of like Crad. He's a little bit crazy. We fix his crazy. We can't fix Crad's crazy, unfortunately. Crad's crazy till the end, unfortunately. I wish he had a better ending, but I would say the best ending he got was that he kind of went back to being as one with Dark as they originally were as a painting. But he was still crazy, so there was no real saving him. I don't know. I feel like he could have been saved, but I also feel like deep down he didn't want to be saved. I don't know. Again, I didn't see the whole series. I really struggled. I don't know. But regardless, he got what he wanted at the beginning of the series, so we're happy for him. Yori, on the other hand, he doesn't have to die. We fix his crazy. Spoilers. Or you know what? Maybe later down the line when I'm doing the series, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna commit to the crazy. He's crazy all the way through. I don't know, but yeah. So I think just growing up with those heavily, like, really just like I've always had this like love for that. Like even though it's always been a part of my life, I think it wasn't until D.N.Angel that like really like, yo, I think I like this thing. And I think even Avatar probably kind of like introduced me to that because like when they first introduced like yin and yang, like the moon and the ocean spirit. Um, I think that like there was always something that was trying to tell me that I liked it, but D.N.Angel was the trigger. I don't know why that was the trigger, but that was the trigger that oh my god, this thing that's always been around my life. I realize how much I like this thing. And I almost wanted to use shit, I don't remember his name. Prince guy. Uh, I don't know, Prince guy and Vikir from Princess Tutu as another yin and yang situation. But they weren't as involved with each other in terms of just even friendship, rivalry, whatever. Like they really weren't involved. Like early on, technically they were involved. Like Vakir was trying to look out for him. Whatever the goddamn prince's name is, I can't remember for the life of me. Cause I can remember, I don't remember her Japanese name. I think it was was it Aru? No, I don't know. Duck, Vakir, Rue, Prince. I don't know. I can't remember his name. If you told me his name, I'd be like, yes, that's him. But right now, I don't remember. But anyway, him and Vikir just again, early on they were involved, but not really. And they both played like a similar role. Like they were both good people in the end. They both did the hero thing. Like I wouldn't really call them like a yin and yang situation. They were just two boys who met the love of their lives. I want to watch Princess Tutu again. I want to cry. I want to cry so bad and watch it. It's so good. Like, I really do think every little girl needs to watch Princess Tutu because I wish I had Princess Tutu when I was little. Princess Tutu would have really helped me as a kid growing up. But that's not the point of what I'm talking about. I can't think. Do the Travelers in Genshin Impact count? Because technically Lumine represents the moon and Aether represents the sun. So there's technically that yin and yang going on, because if you pick one, the other one's evil. But they don't trigger that same like energy the way the others do. Like when I see Diva and Saya, that triggers it. When I see Crad and Dark, that definitely triggers it. When I see Dante and Virgil or Ragnar and Jin, I get that sense of yin and yang, but I don't really get that with Aether and Lumine. But yeah, I guess those. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, that was just a self discovery that I had, and what really and not even just those two characters of mine, but just in general, it somehow plays a role in my life today. It's just really interesting.